Hello everyone. Today I would like to explain Shinto, the indigenous faith of Japan. Shinto has been deeply intertwined with Japan's long history, and it is impossible to discuss Japanese history and culture without mentioning Shinto. It has appeared at many important moments in Japanese history and is deeply embedded in the daily lives of Japanese people today. Many Japanese people misunderstand this, but Shinto is considered something distinct from what is commonly referred to as religion around the world. In short, Shinto is the Japanese way of life. Visiting shrines for New Year's prayers, celebrating Shichigo-san, and participating in festivals, all of these are events rooted in Japanese customs, and they are considered Shinto practices. These traditions have been naturally passed down from generation to generation, from parents to children, so deeply embedded in daily life that they are shared as common knowledge without conscious awareness. So why is Shinto not considered a religion? Shinto has a long history, and various interpretations exist depending on regional customs across Japan. However, I will explain Shinto as it is understood by the Japanese, as close to the facts as possible, so I hope you stay with me until the end. Shinto in Japan traces its origins back to ancient times, reaching as far back as before the Common Era. In Shinto, kami refers not only to living beings, but also to inanimate objects, such as rocks, water, and plants, reflecting an animistic belief system. This belief is similar to the concept of Yaoyorozu no Kami, which refers to the countless deities worshipped in the ancient Shinto religion of Japan. From ancient times, the Japanese believed that deities resided in all things in the world, including natural phenomena such as the sun, the moon, the wind, and the mountains. They revered these countless deities as the Yaoyorozu no Kami. It is unclear exactly when this custom began, but it is thought that, while benefiting from nature's blessings, people also felt the presence of deities in natural phenomena as they were confronted by threats such as typhoons and droughts. Evidence of nature worship can be seen throughout Japan, such as in ancient tombs and ruins, with one prominent example being Iwakura. Iwakura are large rocks or groups of rocks that naturally exist and are considered sacred in Japan's ancient beliefs. People in ancient times revered certain natural objects as windows to the divine powers of the natural world, seeing them as places where deities connected to this world. In ancient times, there were no shrine buildings. Instead, mountains, large rocks, and trees were worshipped as Yorishiro, and Iwakura were among these revered places, considered the dwelling places of deities. Later on, shrine buildings were constructed at locations with pure mountains, rocks, trees, and waterfalls, marked with Shimenawa and Shide, which became known as shrines. It is important to note that for the ancient Japanese, the world was full of mysterious and unexplained phenomena. There was no one in those times who could scientifically explain things in a way that satisfied everyone. People believed that when something good happened, it was a blessing from the gods, and when something bad happened, it was the wrath of the gods. They associated every event with the gods. The conclusion that the ancient people reached after much thought was that everything that happened was the work of the gods. This could be considered the root of Shinto, don't you think? In ancient Japan, fortune tellers and those who performed sacred rituals believed to connect with the gods were highly valued. Since it was thought that deities resided in natural objects, rituals were essential to ensure a stable life, and those who could connect with the gods were held in deep respect. For example, people would pray in the summer for protection from wind and rain damage, or express gratitude for a bountiful harvest. Such acts were of great importance. These important prayers eventually became the origin of what we now know as festivals. Even in ancient Japan, people would regularly visit shrines to offer prayers and participate in their local festivals. These rituals of praying to the gods have been passed down from generation to generation and continue to this day. As seen here, the deep connection between the Japanese way of life and Shinto reflects a strong belief in the value of living in harmony with nature. However, nature not only brings blessings but also disasters. Large floods caused severe damage, and earthquakes or lightning took lives. Over time, this led to the belief that everything depends on the will of the gods. This way of thinking became ingrained in society, and shrines were built as places to pray to the gods. It is said that there are around 80,000 shrines across Japan, a number that is 1.5 times the number of convenience stores in the country. As I have explained, shrines are built in locations with specific significance. Therefore, all the countless shrines throughout Japan can be considered sacred places. From an international perspective, Shinto can be seen as Japan's indigenous ethnic religion. However, the reason Shinto is not considered a religion is that no one said, let's create a religion called Shinto and start practicing it. As a result, Shinto has no founder, nor are there holy texts like the Bible in Christianity, the Quran in Islam, or the scriptures in Buddhism. There is no organized religious sect, nor are there worship services or gatherings. At shrines, there are people called Ujiko, Shinshoku, and Miko, but they are different from believers or church members in other religions. For these reasons, Shinto is considered not a religion, but a philosophy or thought deeply embedded in the lives of Japanese people. Buddhism originated in India around the 5th century BCE and spread rapidly in Japan approximately 1,000 years after its establishment, largely due to the efforts of the Japanese historical figure Prince Shotoku. When Buddhism was first introduced to Japan, it had already developed into a highly refined and sophisticated religion, much more so than Shinto. As a result, it had a significant impact on the Japanese people at the time. Initially, Shinto and Buddhism coexisted in Japan, and they even influenced each other. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of Buddhism were foreign deities, and the very idea of two belief systems existing together might have seemed impossible. Yet in Japan, they have coexisted up to the present day. Despite being foreign deities, they were eventually revered in the same way as the kami of Shinto. This phenomenon is known as Shinbutsu Shugo. In Shinbutsu Shugo, the kami of Shinto were believed to be manifestations of Buddhist Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, and shrines and temples were often combined to hold joint rituals and ceremonies. For example, Japan's supreme deity Amaterasu Omikami became linked with the Buddhist deity Dainichi Nyorai. Additionally, the syncretism gave birth to Japan-specific beliefs such as Onmyodo and Shugendo. In Shugendo, Shinto deities were worshipped, and prayers called Norito were offered to the gods, blending the influences of both Shinto and Buddhism. Other uniquely Japanese gods also emerged, but Shinbutsu Shugo is a deeply complex and multifaceted phenomenon. The concept of believing in both gods and Buddhas helped to prevent conflict between the two religions, combining the best of both and shaping modern Shinto as we know it today. This flexibility is perhaps one of the key characteristics of Shinto. Of course, there were significant conflicts between the pro-Buddhist and anti-Buddhist factions at the time, but in the end, shrines and temples continue to coexist in Japan to this day. There are many theories about why this is the case, but the most convincing explanation is the idea of Yaoyorozu no Kami. Simply put, there are countless gods, so adding a few more wouldn't make a difference. Moreover, Buddhism, with its complex and difficult to understand scriptures, was not easily accepted by the general population, who had limited literacy and education at the time. Those who wanted to adopt Buddhism were mainly the emperor, the nobility, and the powerful elite. And the most prominent theory is that they aimed to use Buddhism as a political tool. By around 710 CE, Buddhism had gained enough influence that it was used for political purposes, with large-scale national projects like the construction of the Great Buddha of Nara and Kokubunji temples across Japan, serving as evidence of this political utilization. Thus, while ideas and religions evolved through both positive and negative influences over time, Buddhism ultimately managed to establish itself and coexist in Japan to this day. In Shinto, there are various rituals such as visiting shrines and Shinto-style funerals. Shrines, which have been carefully preserved throughout Japan's long history, hold a special place in the culture. As you pass through the Torii gate and walk along the approach, the main shrine building comes into view. Standing in front of the shrine, one can feel the presence of the deities even more closely. While Shinto does not have strict rules, the way one shows respect varies from person to person, and worship rituals differ depending on the shrine or region. However, it is only natural that the more sincere one's intentions, the more one would want to follow the proper manners with care. Here we have summarized the general etiquette and manners for shrine worship as clearly as possible. Before passing through the Torii gate at the entrance, bow once. At the temizu, cleanse your body and mind. Walk along the approach to the shrine. The middle of the path is called seichu and is considered the path of the gods, so avoid walking in the center and stay to either side. Stand in front of the offertory box and make an offering. Perform the bowing ritual with 2 bows, 2 claps, 1 bow. After the 2 claps with your hands together, instead of making a wish, express your gratitude for everyday life to the gods. Finally, bow once more to conclude. Hold the hishaku in your right hand and scoop a generous amount of water, then cleanse your left hand. Switch the hishaku to your left hand and cleanse your right hand. Hold the hishaku in your right hand again, pour water into your left hand, and rinse your mouth. At this point, do not touch the hishaku directly to your mouth. Cleanse your left hand again. Finally, wash the handle of the hishaku with the remaining water and return it to its place. There is no set amount for an offering, so it is best to give an amount that you feel is appropriate, expressing your respect and gratitude to the deities. However, in terms of feng shui, there is a theory that 16 yen is recommended as a signal to notify the deities of your visit. In many shrines, a large bell made of copper or brass hangs in the center of the main hall. First, it is good to ring the bell 3 times loudly. In numerology, the number 3 represents completion and properly correcting oneself. This bell is also called Hon Subo Suzu, and worshippers ring the bell by shaking a hemp rope or red and white or 5-color cloth hanging from it during their prayer. The clear sound of the bell is believed to instill a reverent feeling in worshippers, purify them, and invoke the presence of the divine spirit. The Kagura Susu, used by Miko during sacred dances, holds the same meaning as the shrine bell. Since ancient times, the sound of bells has been believed to ward off evil and invoke the activation of divine spirits. A shrine is a place where Kagara is avoided and disliked. In the past, it was believed that you should not visit a shrine if you were in a state of impurity, such as after a family member had passed away, immediately after childbirth, when your body's exhausted, or during menstruation. Kegger is also referred to as kiger, meaning that one's energy was considered depleted or weakened. To recover from this state, a period of rest was traditionally set, called the period of impurity, following the death of a family member. However, this doesn't mean that you absolutely cannot visit a shrine during a period of kagari. If visiting does not place a burden on your body, there is no issue with doing so. Shinto emphasizes purity and honesty, and these values have been passed down in modern Japanese society. The gods of rain, wind, mountains, seas, and thunder, all rooted in nature, have had a deep connection to Japanese life and have influenced many aspects of daily activity. From ancient times, the sacred forces and vitality of the natural world were expressed as kami. By both enjoying nature's blessings and accepting its threats, we are able to maintain harmony with the world. This relationship, which continues to this day, is built on a sense of reverence for the power of nature and gratitude for the gifts it provides. In the spring, people visit shrines to pray during important life events, such as entering school, graduating, or starting new jobs. In the summer, festivals are held across Japan, serving as rituals to honor the gods. In autumn, it is believed that the 8 million gods gather in the land of Izumo to discuss human relationships in the next year's harvest. And during the new year, families eat mochi together and visit shrines for the first prayers of the year, offering their gratitude and greetings to the gods. In this way, Shinto has deeply permeated Japanese daily life throughout the 4 seasons. While I have mainly discussed Buddhism, it is worth noting that Japan is also home to various religious facilities, including Christian churches, Islamic mosques, and Jewish synagogues. Additionally, we celebrate other religious events such as Christmas and Halloween, and without any sense of contradiction, we also participate in traditional Japanese New Year celebrations, Buddhist Bon-Odori dances, and visiting graves during Obon. In this regard, the Japanese people respect and coexist peacefully with each religion and its followers without conflict. If you were to ask most Japanese people, "Are you a follower of Shinto?" many would likely answer no. However, Shinto has become so deeply embedded in daily life at an unconscious level that most people don't even realize it. There are no strict rules or commandments, and it is not something imposed upon anyone. Perhaps this is why, by simply being mindful of it, anyone can understand Shinto, which has been passed down through the ages. I have provided an explanation of Shinto, a uniquely Japanese belief system that may be difficult for foreigners to grasp. What are your thoughts on it? Thank you for watching.